New wipe, new luck, but also, well, we have to do most missions all over again. This includes your sniper level, the Tarkov Shooter series, and of course everybody's favorite, Shooter Born in Heaven. And of course, because we are supposed to suffer in Tarkov, we all know that 100 meters, that was just way too easy. And that's why Nikita decided to put 25 meters on top.
Help me.
Now with the 125 meters Shooter Born in Heaven requirements, it can really only be done at a few places, and some of them require you to go to a place where it's just insanely risky, so you're most likely gonna die, and you don't really want to bring your best gear for that. So wouldn't it be nice if there was something that would allow us to do the sniper level, the Tarkov Shooter, and Shooter Born in Heaven that still slaps, is cheap, and highly available? Well, may I introduce why you should play the VPO-215. And as always, the very first thing, let's look at how well we can mod the gun. And the VPO isn't exactly a Lego kit, so you can mount a silencer and a sight. That's it. And yeah, this might be disappointing for the modding enthusiast, but it also has some advantages because you're ready in 1 to 2 clicks, while your teammates spend half an hour modding some weapon only to lose it to Escape Head Eyes 2 minutes into raid. Furthermore, you get the weapon back as a whole from the insurance, unlike other weapons where it feels like everything is taken away that is not nailed down. But while we're on the subject of insurance, let's talk about the affordability. How expensive is a VPO? Well, for one thing, we get them directly from Jaeger L1. But without the site, of course, just I couldn't be bothered to take another screenshot. And you can get the whole thing for 18,000 rubles, which is extremely cheap for a gun. In addition, you can also buy the silencer at Skier level 1. In theory, you had to pay 28,000 rubles, but on the flea market the price drops very quickly because not a lot of people play the 366 caliber. Plus, even with attachments, most people just don't bother. And you will get the silencer and even sometimes the sight back via insurance, and honestly, surprisingly often. So all in all, the gun is cheap, the attachments are cheap, you get the gun back via insurance a lot because nobody picks up a VPO to sell it to a vendor because you get a couple thousand rubles. So yeah, the return rate is excellent. But a gun itself is basically nothing more than a better club. What matters is the ammunition. So how does the VPO there? The caliber is again the 366 TKM, which has already been discussed on the channel, and the caliber has 3 completely forgettable ammo types, except for when scavs are using it, of course. But the one that is really important is the AP, because unlike many other high penetration rounds, this round retains an incredible amount of damage, while still being able to penetrate level 4 armor, and that's brutal. Or as Phil would say,
now that's a lot of damage!
And that's ideal for sniping because with over 40 penetration, we are able to penetrate pretty much every helmet that is in the game. Yeah, you lose some penetration on range, but we will talk about that later. But now, how do we get this beauty? On one hand, you can buy them from mechanic level 3. Now mechanic level 3, that's level 30 and that's quite far into the game. But there are also other ways. For once, we can buy it on the flea market. Just know that 1000 rubles per round is usually the default price there. You just have to remember that it's not as bad as it sounds, because usually you have 2 magazines, that's 8 rounds that you have in your pockets or whatever, and the rest is in your pouch. So whenever you die, you don't lose that many rounds, meaning you can buy them for a relatively high price because you're not gonna lose them. But of course, there are still cheaper ways to get them, because you can craft them at the workbench level 2. And the craft is pretty simple, it just has one issue. We cannot buy SP6, but they're also craftable. And the HP ammo that we need for that are available at traders for cheap. This means you can craft as much of it as your heart desires, starting at level 20. Because, well, you still need the workbench on level 2 and you need mechanic level 2 for that, so that's level 20. But okay, now that we have those chat rounds, how does the weapon perform at close range? Well, I don't think I have to mention that a bolt action rifle is not really the best option in close quarter fights. But if you have to, then cover is your best friend from now on. Because if you get caught in the open with a bolt action, you're usually dead. Meaning you always want to stay near cover. Take a peek, shoot, take cover, reload, take the next one, rinse and repeat. But especially for the Tarkov Shooter series, where we have to kill some PMCs under 25 meters, so preferably factory, this weapon is just overall perfect for the job. Especially when you consider that the PS rounds for the Mosin just got nerfed this wipe. It's no longer a one-shot to the 4x, so the AP is the only one that can do the job there. But it's still not a weapon that you want to bring to close quarter fights preferably, but it can definitely do a lot of damage if you hit your shot, even on close range. But that's probably not the topic you're looking for. So let's have a look how the VPO performs in higher ranges, because yeah, you probably want to snipe with a sniper. And how we can do Shooter Born in Heaven with it. Now for one, we often hear that the AP is bad because it reduces the accuracy. But since the VPO-215 has a very good MOA value, that's the accuracy, it's still very accurate even after the AP accuracy debuff. Now we've already covered accuracy on the channel. Basically 1 MOA, minute of angle, equals 1 inch of spread on 100 yards or 3 centimeters on 100 meters. And in Tarkov this gets doubled, so it's 2 inches on 100 yards and 6 centimeters on 100 meters per MOA. So knowing that, we know now that if you want to shoot on 100 to 150 meters, you don't want to have a MOA above 2, because then it gets too inaccurate. But accuracy isn't an issue with the VPO, but rather the ammunition or the speed at which it travels. Because the ammo is gonna cause problems on about 150 to 200 meters and above. Since the bullet doesn't travel that fast, it starts dropping earlier and it has a pretty big drop. Here for example, comparison to the M855. You can clearly see that the M855 travels further in orange, but since we don't care about 200 meters and further, let's zoom in a bit. And here is the interesting part, up to 150 meters or so, it's just a few centimeters difference. It's not really relevant. But the drop between 150 and 200 meters is brutal. And that means that if your zeroing is not spot on, you're gonna miss your target. Because look at the difference here between 150 and 200 meters, it's a drop of 20 centimeters. So if your zeroing is off on above 150 meters, you're not gonna hit your shot. So you really need to get the zeroing spot on. So the best thing to do is take a rangefinder with you, and over time you will get a good feeling on what 150 meters look like or 200 meters, so that your zeroing is always spot on. And as mentioned before, it's not the fastest bullet with 600 meters per second up to 700 meters per second, meaning that if you see somebody running, you have to lead your shot quite a bit. But by how much? You can find that out yourself with a teammate. Just distance yourselves 150 meters apart, then let him sprint, aim at him, lead with him, then stop aiming and see how far he gets in 1 second, and then take a quarter of that, because the round takes 0.25 seconds to travel 150 meters. So if your body is able to cover 6 mil dots in 1 second, you know you have to lead your shot by 2 mil dots. I hope you know what I mean by that. Usually it's 4 to 5 mil dots if he's at full sprint at 150 meters. And once you master those two things, so the zeroing and the leading your shot, or you just wait until he stops moving, or you just go to spots where usually people don't move, it's up to you. But this way, Shooter Born in Heaven is absolutely doable. So in summary, the VPO is an insanely good weapon for very little money. It's easy to equip, you don't have a lot of mods. The round is available and insanely strong, has one-shot potential on close range, even through armor. The weapon is also insanely efficient because again, you usually have 2 magazines and the rest of the ammo is in your pouch, so you don't lose much. So whatever you do, you don't lose a lot of money when you die with that weapon, while still having the ability or the potential to absolutely slap somebody back to the lobby. So all in all, a very good gun, especially for tricky missions like Shooter Born in Heaven, where you just have to position yourself at places that are just very, very risky. So all in all, a great weapon, and you passively level your sniper skill. And when you see my sniper skill level, you probably know that I've played this weapon quite a bit. And I hope the video was helpful. If so, don't forget to thumbs up, as it really helps the channel. Subscribe for more, and if you have questions, leave them in the comment section down below. See you all in the next video, and good luck in your raids.